Hey, welcome back everyone. It is now December 26th of 2020, and ever since the very end of the Skywalker saga and of course the Mandalorian Season 2, a lot of fans around the world have been very much invested in the future of Star Wars by Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, and others out there. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, the thing about the Star Wars franchise is that we do know that Disney is now on the road to success here, with the Ahsoka Tano show in the works. We've got Mando Season 3 and 4 being worked on back-to-back alongside with the Book of Boba Fett, as well as, the Bad Batch and the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. That's just to name a few, by the way. Just about a week and a half ago, we got a large batch of announcements of TV shows, and we got more announcements to come for Disney Plus in, of course, the year of 2021. Now, with that being said, Jon Favreau is a man that's very much hard at work when it comes to this new EU, also known as the Expanded Universe. This is going to be a very big deal because a majority of it will not be done by Kathleen Kennedy. She will have no creative input into these new Star Wars projects moving ahead. However, when we go ahead and focus on the sequel trilogy movies, especially with The Rise of Skywalker, this movie in particular had a lot of issues with the production behind the scenes. A lot of the cast and the crew also had problems with the higher-ups over at Lucasfilm and Disney, including Lucasfilm's Kathleen Kennedy as a great example. Now, specifically, of course, with everything being said, given that The Mandalorian is now over, Disney and Lucasfilm are now focused on their new Star Wars universe and more, where, of course, it's described that currently Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are hard at work on creating new stories for the years to come. However, recently actress Daisy Ridley was able to take part in an interview about her experience with the sequels and the leadership over at Lucasfilm, where at one moment Daisy Ridley unveiled that Kathleen Kennedy was the one directly responsible for creating multiple endings for The Rise of Skywalker and creating the title for Episode 9 in order to bring in more fans into the theater seats. When Daisy Ridley was questioned about Palpatine, Ridley went on to reveal that Kathleen Kennedy had inserted Palpatine into the story at last minute in an attempt to explain as to why Rey was so powerful in the sequel trilogy movies and more. Daisy Ridley also reveals that J.J. Abrams tried to do something differently with the main villain. However, Kennedy refused to do that eventually and pushed the idea of Palpatine in order to get more fans interested in the film because of expectations not coming into The Last Jedi and more. Now, let's stop right here for a moment before we move on. Now, Daisy Ridley is an actress that really had to go through a lot, and I mean a lot when it comes to Episode 9. She rehearsed and trained for so many scenes that ended up getting deleted and not even seeing the light of day on the Blu-ray edition of Episode 9. It really was a sad thing, because fans really wanted to see, what was going to be done by J.J. Abrams and George Lucas with Chris Terrio, and what they had initially planned for the very end of the sequel trilogy and the entire Skywalker saga before Kathleen Kennedy interrupted. So, the thing about Palpatine being shoehorned into the mix, obviously, at one point in time, Kathleen Kennedy was caught lying, because there was a moment where Kathleen Kennedy even said that Palpatine was in the cards since 2014, like he was planned since 2014, and then there was another interview where J.J. Abrams was able to unveil that is actually completely untrue, and that Palpatine was his own creation when he came on board. I believe it was around early 2018 after Colin Trevorrow got fired. And that's when J.J. Abrams decided to get rid of the villain that Colin Trevorrow was setting up and to somewhat actually create Palpatine with Kathleen Kennedy, kind of altering J.J.'s vision. What J.J. Abrams wanted to do is that he wanted to insert Palpatine's spirit into the body of the Dark Acolyte. Then eventually Kathleen Kennedy only wanted to have the true version of Palpatine, by Ian McDiarmid, to have him as if he never died and survived. And then that kind of got transformed as well in the form of damage control by retconning the idea that Palpatine just survived and came back to, in the novelization, Palpatine was a clone through essence transfer entering into that clone body. You can read this actually in the episode 9 novelization. That was actually a big change, and that was a main reason as to why the novelization of episode 9 came out far later in comparison to the Force Awakens version and the Last Jedi's version, and as to also why it was delayed, because they were making some major revisions in the novelization for episode 9 with Palpatine. So, like I've said before in the past, guys, I mean, though episode 9 was a big mess, as well as was the entirety of the sequel trilogy, at least it's a thing of the past now, right? So, like I've said before, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.